purpose of this video is to do a brief review over what inverse functions are. So, given a function, call it y equals f of x, this is equivalent to saying that x is the inverse function of y. Now, in order for an inverse function to exist, f must be a one-to-one function. And in order to be one-to-one function, that means the graph of f passes the horizontal line test. A horizontal line cannot intersect the graph of the function more than once. Additionally, the idea behind an inverse function is that it reverses the roles of the inputs and the outputs. So the inputs for the function f will become the outputs for the inverse, as is demonstrated above. X looks like an inverse, or excuse me, x looks like an input in this case, and looks like an output in this case. Similarly, if I want the range of f, that'll be equivalent to the domain of f inverse. As you can see up here, the outputs for the function f would be y. Looks like the input for the function f inverse over here. If the ordered pair AB is on the graph of f, this means that the ordered pair BA is on the graph of f inverse. Again, reversing the roles of the inputs and the outputs. Now, the reason that we're introducing, or rather reviewing these inverse functions, is that up until this point, we have been talking about trigonometric functions. Now, regardless of whether it's sine, cosine, tangent, cotangent, secant, or cosecant, it always takes the form y equals some trig function of x. So x is taking on the role of a ratio, and x is taking on the role of an angle, and y is taking on the role of the corresponding ratio. So with that in mind, if I were to introduce the concept of an inverse trigonometric function, this is going to reverse the roles of the input and the output. This is where the input is going to be a ratio, thus the mistake I made over here, and the corresponding output is going to be an angle. However, because of the construction of the unit circle, there are many different angles that can produce a corresponding ratio. So how do we get around that? We will describe how we do so with the upcoming videos.